Nicola, dear parents and family, welcome to what is our first commencement exercises for these students who will be receiving their Italian, American, and some French diploma. It is for us a great honor to have you all present to share this day with us. I'd like to begin speaking to these, our children. Beginning with a reading from the first book of Samuel. So you can look it up when you go home. 1 Samuel 3. I'm going to read it in English, but at least you'll know where to find it. Now the boy Samuel was ministering to the Lord under Eli. And the word of the Lord was rare in those days. There was no frequent vision. At that time, Eli, whose eyesight had begun to grow dim, so that he could not see, was lying down in his own place. The lamp of God had not yet gone out, and Samuel was lying down within the temple of the Lord, where the ark of God was. Then the Lord called, "Samuel, Samuel." And he said, "Here I am," and ran to Eli. And said, "Here I am, for you called me." But he said, "I did not call you. Lie down again." So he went and lay down. And the Lord called again, "Samuel." And Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, "Here I am, for you called me." But he said, "I did not call, my son. Lie down again." Now Samuel did not yet know the Lord, and the word of the Lord had not yet been revealed to him. And the Lord called Samuel again the third time. And he arose and went to Eli and said, "Here I am, for you called me." Then Eli perceived that the Lord was calling the boy. Therefore Eli said to Samuel, "Go, lie down, and if he calls you, you shall say, 'Speak, Lord, for your servant hears.'" So Samuel went and lay down in his place. And the Lord came and stood forth, calling as at other times, "Samuel, Samuel." And Samuel said, "Speak, for thy servant hears." Then the Lord said to Samuel, "Behold, I am about to do a thing in Israel." The calling of this young boy, a boy for whom his parents prayed. We have previously in the story, in the book of Samuel, the story of Hannah, who invoked God in order to have a child. Remember what a blessing each and every one of you is for your own parents. A gift, an answer to prayers. But this calling, this answering, this understanding is something that takes a little bit of time. Samuel does not yet understand how the Lord works. And Eli, the priest, who is there to guide him, needs also himself a bit of time to understand. So this mutual growing together, I think of the times that the teachers didn't understand, is something that even those adults who are placed in your lives as examples, as guides for you, help in your collaboration, in your growth, in understanding. The name Samuel means either name of God or God has heard. God has heard, and now that you are mature, your calling is not to finish, but to begin. everything that you have learned, this answer to not a person, but to God, is what you need now as your force as you go forth. Maturity is knowing that you always have to learn. In a certain sense, you've finished, but you've really only just begun. Now the world awaits you as warriors. The few, the proud. You know where that comes from. So this courage to witness, to be soldiers, is something that you need to feel comfortable with. You have been trained, and I use that military term, to fight, to understand that sometimes life is a battle. You have been the ones who have persevered as well, in numbers and in strength. 5 years, 6 years, persevering, 8 years, 14 years, 19 years, that you have been formed at the school that is not identified with your parents, with the teachers, not even with the mothers, but with the Sacred Heart. And his is a heart which loves to a great extreme. So, as Samuel did, my wish for you is that you know how to arise, to stand up, arise above what is mediocre in life, arise above what is dishonest in the workplace, arise above your own limits so that you are not your worst enemy as well. Arise, go forth, and bring the light, the strength, the learning, but more than the learning, the wisdom that you have understood and perceived, not as subjects, but as a way of life. This is your moment to stand on your own 2 feet, not to say, oh, I've been so good, look at where I got. No, this is the starting point. So that with courage, with identity, knowing, however, that you always have a place where you may return and call home, where you have mothers who consider you as our own sons and daughters in a spiritual sense, who accompany you if you think and calculate the hours, not just of school, but of prayer that have gone into your 5 years. That the formation which you have received is such that you may be strong, that you may arise. What are you supposed to do now as an ex-alumni of the Sacred Heart? The special calling, as Samuel had his calling, is that to go forth with your own lamp, the famous ceremony of receiving the candle, is now not just a symbol, but your own reality. So that this light which you have perceived, received, guarded, needs to be something that you yourselves now bring forth. So remember that the marching out of this ceremony is your mission. You're going forth. Stand on your own 2 feet, convinced of what you have learned, of who you are, and realize that this is what God is calling you to as well. One last thing that I would like to ask you to remember is something very concrete. And I remember actually Mother Christine reading about this and realizing that the role played by many of the ex-alumni of the Sacred Heart was that of works of charity, so that in your future life, wherever you might be, that you remember those who are poor, who need friendship, so that your own success and everything that you have received as a gift is something that you know also how to share. We have certainly not trained you to be selfish, to be strong, to be now strength for others. So, dear sons and daughters, arise, go forth, and carry with you always this lamp that symbolizes everything that you have received as your formation here, as your education, as true children of the Sacred Heart.